Hello, everybody. Welcome to Awakening the Hero. We are crossing thresholds back and forth across the doorsill, moving from the world of the familiar to the realm of the unfamiliar. And we're just getting ready to broadcast, working with the Zoom technology. We're post-precast, so we're taking a look at how we get you all in here. I see the participants listed up here who are joining in. Shiloh, hi, Foster, Pat, Rayhan, and Annette, you got on here. So you can each practice typing into the chat. Are you able to see me? You'll type into the chat and you'll see, it'll say to everyone. You have to click on that. So let's see. All right, that's Shiloh, Foster. Yeah, okay, thanks, Foster. We're just waiting for everybody that's coming to come in the door here. All right, Annette, you made it. Hi, Sue. Welcome. Come on in, everybody. We're going to get in and get situated. Let everyone come on into the... All right, Janet. Hi, Janet.
Hi.
All right, and all right.
Wow.
There we go. And you can just let me know here are the, I'm assuming right now that the viewers cannot see all the panelists. Hi, Annie, welcome. Okay, yeah, thanks. Okay, yeah. I'm getting everybody in the door. Come on in the door. We're crossing thresholds. I'm going to do a brief review of the first session. Those of you who are here for the first time, great. Hi, Sue. I think Annette as well. Anyone else that's new, your first broadcast, let us know. We'll help you out. Very good. Yeah. All right. We'll take another minute. We're still working with the Zoom technology, which is new to us. And then I think, yeah, I think this will make Janet come on. She's in our panel area helping out. We have her muted. Our youngest junior. All right, we'll come back to me here. And that we cannot hear you if we talk until we bring you on. We have Anna and Janet helping in the background. And I am hosting, and our viewers are coming in. Welcome, everybody. We're going to get started. Awakening the hero. We're awakening the inner potential in us, that bliss, that experience of being uniquely, distinctly us and who we really are, and taking our place in the world. That's the work we're doing. That's the intention that we have for our course. There are those of us who are here from different parts of the US tonight. I don't see anybody from South America or Europe, so we're all relatively close to the same time zones. Those of you who are viewing this as a recording, welcome. We're going to begin by clearing out some space. You know, we've been walking here, some of us, through the technological forest or desert. Hi, Beth. Coming in, taking our seat, getting grounded, getting rooted, and getting ready to open ourselves to the journey of taking our place in the world. Yeah, a number of you all coming in. So all the new arrivals coming in, just take your seat, take your place. Imagine that we're sitting in a large council circle. Each of us having the day that we have, the mood that we're in, the state of mind that we're having. Somehow we're going to cross the threshold and shift into the state of the journey from where we are to where we're about to go. Let's start with some breathing. Getting out of our heads, coming to our senses, resting into the body. Yeah, John, we're all getting used to Zoom. It's quite a different format. So let's begin. Slowly let your eyes soften, your body relax into your chair, your mind begin to quiet, and be aware of your breathing. Without changing anything, simply begin following your breath. Your breath coming in on the in-breath, filling up and spilling over, falling away, emptying all the way out on the exhalation. Bringing your awareness right to the edge of your breath. If you see me smiling unusually a lot today, it's because Janet's in the panelist booth with Eliza's smiling face up there. Oh, all of us touching our innocence. Good to feel an innocent heart when we go on a journey. Let's come back to our breathing and feeling the ground underneath us. The ground of our seat, our feet flat on the floor. Allowing our breath to come down on the inhalation, down into our bellies. Nice and easy and slow. And exhalation all the way out. All the way out. And once again, answering that call to adventure. This place in us that knows that we have a place to take in this world. A way to be in the world. And an aspect of our nature that we want to cultivate, that we want to bring forth. that we want to be able to respond to the world with authentically, naturally, growing that capacity to be present with our gifts, with our unique perspective, and to find that state of awakening consciousness in us. Whatever we have to do to find our way into that, dropping down, breathing down. Let's deepen into our breathing. Allowing the sound in, the clarity of the bell in. The feeling and sensation in our body of breathing, the movement of our breath in our torso. The feeling of the ground underneath us. Mind clearing. Looking more deeply, more consciously, more intentionally. Bringing the journey alive. All right, sorry about that bowl. It's a little bit loud, but working on the volume thing here. Whatever we have to do to clear our minds. Crossing thresholds, coming into the moment, feeling a sense of uneasiness, uncertainty, not being sure of the way exactly, but knowing there is a way. We just don't know the way exactly, but knowing we need to be on our way. Do you know that feeling? So let's practice all just announcing our place in the circle, in the community. And typing into the chat and making sure it says to everyone. To everyone. Hello. I am ready. Practice saying hello in the chat. Hey, Amy. Welcome. Shiloh, Annie. Just coming into the circle, getting ready to explore this crossing of the thresholds on the journey. Hey, Cheryl. Hi, Beth. Anna. John, Annette. Sue. Glory. I would just keep typing in as you're ready to announce yourself into the chat. Hey, David. Good to have you. Hey, Cole. Rayanne. So suppose you're over in Europe, Rayanne. Hi, Cicely. Great. Harlan. Excellent. Yeah. You got a late hour over there in Europe, Rayanne. Good. Thanks for joining us. Crossing thresholds. So we're all working and begin working with this notion. Hey, Angeline. Angeline's here, and so is Janet. Great. We're all working with this idea of answering a call, being pulled into a journey, answering the call, and knowing that in our innermost being, we long to be aligned with the soul and be on a soul's journey. We're all with that. At least in theory, we're all aligned with that. And then there comes the point where we have to start moving forward. One of the assignments that we have as part of the course is to consciously choose who 5 people will be to accompany us. Who will be our resources? Who will that be for you? How will you find one at a time 5 people you can turn to, rely on, talk with, ask advice of, be vulnerable with, Who will you choose to help encourage you across the threshold again and again? Because each of us are going to be identifying this way of taking our place in the world in a certain kind of way, and deciding what that will be. And when we do that, we are going to have to cross the threshold and move from a place where we're comfortable, a place that's quite familiar to us, that we know well, and we're going to have to move ourselves into a situation, into an encounter, into a territory that's unfamiliar or uncertain to us. We don't know the outcome, we don't know the result, we don't know the way. And it's so essential that we cultivate this particular dynamic in us ongoingly. This is not a one and done deal. This crossing of the threshold has to happen again and again and again here over the next weeks and months of us being on the path. Yeah, John, we need 5 people. 5 people you have to be gathering to yourself. And it starts with at least one other person. So who will that be for you? Who are the 5 people? And how will you choose them? And how are you thinking about them? And who are you talking to about this? What happens when you think about them? We were talking about this on session 1. And now, by even your interacting with those 5 people, they should be, your interactions with them tend to naturally pull you out of yourself in a certain way, where you're comfortable, where things are familiar, but confined or stale or not invigorated, overly saturated or overly routine. These allies of ours are going to be people who help move us and help pull us across the threshold from the familiar to the unfamiliar, from the comfortable to the uncomfortable. So all we want to establish now and make clear for this part of the journey is that we have a willingness to move from the familiar to the unfamiliar and then back again. We can always come back to what's familiar. And then when we're ready, the next step back into the unfamiliar, the uncertainty, noticing the result of that and coming back again. That's our primary function, into noticing what that's like, going from the familiar to the unfamiliar time and again. So notice what this invitation is bringing up for you. We've got to do this. Rumi says to us, the breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. The breeze at dawn has secrets to tell you. Don't go back to sleep. You must ask for what you really want. You must ask for what you really want. Don't go back to sleep. People are journeying back and forth all the time across the threshold where the 2 worlds touch. The tangible world here and the invisible world all around us. People go back and forth all the time across that threshold where the 2 worlds touch. This door for us can be round and open. Don't go back to sleep. So we're working with Rumi's poem in this session for the next few weeks, using this as a window. Understand the breeze at dawn, the breeze at dawn, the movement of awakening, of the light coming on has secrets to tell you, illuminating things that have not been available or clear to us. We don't want to go back into our lull, into our routines. We have to ask for what we're really wanting, to take our place in the world. And we go back and forth all the time. So we want to start exploring, what is it for you? What is it for you? What's the concrete act, the simple step you have to be taking? You have to be taking. That's going to be crossing the threshold for you. What allows us to be willing to pass through the discomfort of the unfamiliar into the unknown before the outcome can be known, and live that adventure And in what way are we willing to risk it and start doing it? Simple ways, small ways. We should be practicing these in ordinary gestures in our daily lives so that when the big ones come, we're ready. What is it that's going to allow something in our lives that we're living right now in these days to shift from being a source of resistance, a barrier, an edge, a challenge we never face, to becoming a passage? What's going to do that for us? Whenever we feel that tension, we know that something important's about to be happening. And it causes us to really be paying attention. On Saturday, we'll talk more about threshold guardians, but we have these things inside us called threshold guardians, these fears that get represented in the outside world that make us hold back. You know, what is that fear? What is the thing in you that holds you back? We also want to look at that. And how can you find a way this week to start crossing over? Taking chances, taking risks, trying out something new in whatever ordinary way you can. So let's just look at that now. You know, how open are you to this idea that there's something that you have to do to move, to live your adventure, to take your place in the world a little more, to awaken something in you now? And what is that step going to be? For me, I'm doing more of reaching out in the world as well and taking chances to establish dialogues, to be talking to people in ways I wouldn't normally do, in small ways and in bigger steps. I'm doing them both because I want to be able to not have anything be too small that it's not relevant and doesn't count. Each day reaching out, text, phone call, email, or talking to someone in a different kind of way, reaching out, going out of my comfort zone just to extend myself a little more. And pretty soon here, I'll be extending myself over to writing and making space to write. But what is it for you? What's going to be an idea that you have about taking your place in the world? How is reaching out to allies to accompany you part of this process of crossing the threshold? Or what specific thing do you have to bear? You know, what kind of fear do you have to face, or discomfort do you have to face? And what's an example of crossing the threshold for you that you're willing to start working with? Yeah, not knowing how to be supported. Well, yeah, exactly, David. So it would be choosing someone that you want to have actively support you and asking them to do that for a couple of months, being someone that you can lean on and then tell you, and checking on you. You must ask for what you really want. So I want to keep hearing from you all in the chat about what this is stirring. I'm going to pause somewhat on the content and wait to hear from some of you. I'd like you all to come on and start sharing. Cross the threshold here. Just get used to it, because we're going to be pulling you all on. And come on, be a panelist and share with us what this is like for you to cross the threshold. What the discomfort is, how you feel about actively practicing going from the familiar to something unfamiliar, from comfort to a discomfort, not pain, not anxiety, but just an unease that it takes to get you across, and who's going to help you with that. That's what we're talking about here. So when you're willing to come on and talk, just type it. Type it into the chat. Come on. Be a panelist. Ask questions on it. You don't even have to have something in particular you want to share. How is this striking you? And that you're new, how is it to hear this? You're fresh off an immersion journey this weekend. And that, yeah, exactly. That's going to be an important thing for you, allowing someone to assist you and being open to being assisted. Who else can resonate with this? You can type it into the chat and also say you're willing to come on. You want to come on and talk about it, Annette? What the hell? If your exposure and your writing, yeah. You're getting a piece published. Oh, Beth. Anna's going to share about her run on Sunday. If no one else is coming on. Not being entirely sure what it means to be. Fear of exposure in her writing. Yeah, your secrets are going to be in print, Beth. David, you're going to be blogging more, huh? Your commitment to step out and write. How about that? Taking a risk to ask for what you really want. Yeah, but finding out what do you really want? All right, that's always the big questions. All right, and that, good. We're going to get you on, and who else? And if Janet or Anna, you can just keep checking in the chat about who else is saying they'd like to come on, let me know in the panelist box. All right, and that, let me get you going here. Uh-huh. I'm going to unmute your audio in a minute. There we go.
Okay.
Uh-huh. Hi there.
Hi, Janet. Hi, Anna. Hi, Michael.
Hi. Another threshold.
Yeah. Pretty exciting stuff. So you want me to talk about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. I've been thinking about it a lot of dreams. Really, I think my biggest issue was holding everything inside and locking my heart, my soul up in a box as tight as it could be to protect myself. And what it seemed to do more than anything was, and what I learned during this immersion weekend, was that not only was I holding everything in, but I was keeping everything out. I wasn't letting anything else in. And man, the things that came flooding in were immeasurable. Just unconditional love and support, and even firm support, because sometimes I needed my world shook up to say, hey, you pay attention, because it was so easy to block and turn it off, because that's my comfort place. I can give and give and give all day, but it's really, really hard for me to say, okay, I'll accept your giving to me and helping me and supporting me. It's big. I mean, even somebody buying me lunch. Oh no, I got this. I'll buy you lunch. Just little stuff. but it's very big. It's easy for me to go back into that. So I was really afraid to come home.
Mm. And that, what would you say your what would you say your particular threshold crossing is inside? Like, what's the thing you have to go through um, in order to let this happen now as you're reaching out? How would you name that for yourself? I think that will also help viewers to identify with that more.
Um, I think really accepting myself as being worthy of receiving. That I'm good enough to receive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Maybe that.
And then, you know, yeah, and I know we've talked about this too before, but yeah, that we always have a feeling of being unworthy, but then there's being capable enough of allowing it in, you know, and what you have to go, the threshold crossing is the internal experience you have to go through in order to allow that to happen, and whatever that is for you.
Yeah, right now it's a really tight chest. But yeah, I don't really know a word for that. But yes, I can feel it.
Yeah. But that willingness to exchange with the goodness and the capacities that people are responding to who experience you.
Right.
The ones who can.
Right. And actually, when I saw the video that one of our allies made, to see, I didn't see myself. I saw everybody else's reaction to what I was doing, with tears, with love, with support, with, gosh, that was amazing to see. Absolutely amazing to see. The effect that their fear for me, or their excitement for me, or their support for me was doing to them. And I'd never allowed myself to see my effect on anybody else. Although that's not totally true with the people that I work with. I see my effect on them on a daily basis, but not in my own personal life. It's very different. Because I have huge confidence in what I do for others, but not so much. I don't do so much for me, for myself. So it was very, there was a huge impact in seeing how other people were reacting and supporting. Pretty profound.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being willing to come on and share about it. You know, maybe we'll see at the end, and that maybe we'll just put that video up on a screen share.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Let people see what you went through.
It was pretty cool. It was hell, but pretty cool. Yeah.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for letting me.
Anna, you want to come on and share about your experience with running a half marathon for the first time?
Sure. Hang on, I just want to make sure. There we go. So I ran a half marathon for the very first time in my life on Sunday. And it was really amazing. I never thought that I had the capacity to run that far. And I had been training, but in shorter runs. And so I hadn't made the commitment, you know, to run the whole way. I'd been working on times that were, you know, manageable for me. And in the moment, I really was swept up with a company that I had. Two dear friends from high school had traveled all the way from Australia for some time together, and for them to run the full marathon. And it was their, belief, and then just the strength of the people around me running. This marathon was for a children's hospital in Columbus, and each mile was dedicated to a particular patient. So all through the run, along each mile, there were these patients, these children were out. And these patients were surrounded by their friends and family who came to cheer on the people who were running. And, the fees had gone to fundraising, and there were people there who were running who had raised extra funds for this particular event. And so they were cheering the runners on, and as the runners were going past, we could give high fives to these patients. And we ran around the children's hospital itself, where there were kids in the windows and people lined up. It was amazing. It was really, really impactful. So I felt like I was really inspired and lifted up by the company of all these strangers, these people who were just, the presence of these people on the course allowed me to really keep running when I didn't think that was something that I was going to really have the capacity and my own physical presence to do. And yeah, I just kept going. And now, amazingly, I feel like I want to do another one. I feel like I have the capacity. Like I did one now, do-over.
Can you say more what the threshold was in you that you had to go through, go over, to keep crossing, going from what inside to what?
Well, I didn't think that I was a runner. And I've held this belief, about my athleticism and my capability, for holding myself in a particular way. So it was just a continuing crossing over toward embracing a new expression of a physicality that's lived in other ways, through yoga, particularly lately. But I found myself actually really enjoying the training and really enjoyed the day of the run.
Yeah, and what did you have to go through internally to really let that happen, right? To go where you wouldn't typically go. What did you have to go cross inside yourself?
Physical pain. Yeah, a willingness to just push myself in new ways. Yeah. And to trust that my body would be okay and that I wasn't doing, damage, that everything was really going to be okay. And it might be painful now, but that's something that I can move through and move past.
Well, thanks for sharing. Pay attention to what people are writing.
I haven't even looked.
All right. Well, thanks, Anna. So notice that, how you're affected by hearing Annette and then Anna's share, what this points to you about thresholds that you'll have to cross. Some of you are writing in the chat about that. Who else would like to come on and speak? Feel free to do that. Just let me know. I will also cover just a little more ground here on what this takes. What are we going to have to do really to have the journey come alive for us? Because we're wanting that. We're wanting to see the journey come alive, stay alive, keep burning. Some of us have recently done a summer intensive. Some of us have just come off the weekend. And then there's some of us who are just getting started, first time on the course here, wondering, what does it mean to cross the threshold? What does it mean to be willing to risk giving up what's so familiar to learn what's possible in me, the hero potential within me as I explore the unfamiliar. This is the important ante for each of us. See if David Bakura might want to come on, maybe you, Cecily, anyone else. You guys don't have to, but willing to speak about your experience of this. You know, what's this primary threshold, guardian, for you? What is it that you have to literally go across? What's it like to feel yourself on the edge of some established boundary that you typically don't cross, and where who you know yourself to be, and how you feel your limitation or your judgment about yourself for having the limitation? What's it like to feel, what's it like to feel the ambiguity, like, should I cross, not cross? I'm going to get Cecily here. See if I got everybody. Yeah, Cecily and Shiloh and David. Let me get the three of you up here on the viewer screen. All right, hang on. All right, Cecily, you're coming on first. Here you come. There you go. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's like the Brady Bunch with all of you here. Fun. Hi. Oh, I'm feeling that threshold even now, just with the activity of coming on. Yeah, it brings something kind of alive. My heart's pounding and I can feel my palms sweating. It's amazing how that still happens. Still.
You're alive.
Yeah, I am. And alive here with you.
Mm-hmm. That's right. In the we.
In the we. Yeah, one of my guardians is fear. It comes to accompany me anytime I step forward into something where I'm not sure. And being much more comfortable with my body sense of fear, what that feels like in my stomach and how it feels in my heart and my chest and how my throat constricts a little bit. And for me right now, the challenge is really to keep stepping into that, to have enough people around me, the people that I can have reflect back, you should make that flyer, you should make that call. It's time for you to reach out. Mm-hmm. And the ways that I doubt myself, and that I guess one of the things that comes up a lot is I feel like I'm bothering people. Mm-hmm. And I have a really deep longing to bother people in a way. I want them, I want to make my mark on the world. And somehow that's gotten crisscrossed a little bit. How much to lean in. Yeah. So
to decide who are the people that are going to be the ones that nudge you.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Tolerating that edge of fear in the body, huh? When it's alive. That kind of aliveness.
Yeah.
And the potential excitement. How is it now, talking? Is it okay?
It feels great.
Now that you're cross.
It feels great. Yeah, no, it's amazing to me always, over and over and again, how much resistance I have to stepping in, and how it feels when I actually just step in and be with what I'm feeling, what that opens as the next thing. It's still a very surprising and amazing process that makes me a little bit more willing to do it again the next time when I forget. So.
All right, David, want to join in the conversation?
Yeah, I was actually, I wish I had something clear to actually share.
Oh, that would be too easy.
That's just my thing, exactly. I want to be clear before I go, I move. and that's been my life. And the ideas that I've had that seem like steps to take, I usually push them away until there's more support of some kind that's unnamed on what that would be or what that would look like. So I wish I could say I've been brave enough to just go, but I'm kind of looking at reaching the point of why not anymore. Just why not?
Right.
It's way past time, and I've grieved a loss of that time over and over again. So it's just reaching a point of being a bit done with it, and listening to the inner pools more.
Mm-hmm.
So that's really what's happening for me right now.
Yeah, there's something about taking that uncertain step, right, with the lack of clarity or wondering if this is the way, and taking the step to see, sort of making your way through a labyrinthian kind of approach as opposed to that forging line.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and how it'd be interesting to hear from you about like what you learn about yourself by taking that step without a solid footing.
Well, I've had to learn that lesson a number of times. It's not all as bad as the imagery in advance, or this big fog of fear or whatever that is. It's just, it has never turned out almost never has turned out quite as bad.
Well, this is your most recent example right now.
No,
you didn't. Well, you didn't know what you were going to even talk about, right?
No, I didn't.
And here you are.
Yeah, and that's part of taking the governor off.
Yeah, exactly. And how does this yield a vitality or an aliveness, if not a correctness? Where you're free to adapt and make the change on the spot.
And trust in that.
And trust in that, yeah. That's what Annette was just saying here in the chat. Yeah. And we're going to let Shiloh join in on this conversation too. Hear what you have to say, Shiloh. Hang on. Unmute you. Okay. Talk to us.
Hi.
Hi again. All right.
Wow. Yeah. Hi, everybody. Yeah, I really felt when, like what you were saying when you were talking about like threshold guardians and things stopping us, and just like when everybody was talking about like maybe their fears or just things that stop them, and I was really thinking about that.
What stops you? What's the thing that keeps stopping you from how you want to be moving forward?
Maybe it's being afraid of change. Maybe it's just that fear, or maybe it's just even my mind, the way I just overthink things, or the way that it kind of like just goes nonstop until I don't let myself move forward. I stop myself from moving forward. Not necessarily like the things around me, it's just my own fear of difference. Because I feel different. Like I feel space between me and people, and I don't want to make it bigger. Like I don't want to create space around myself. And I'm just kind of, I suppose I'm scared of that. I'm scared of my own space.
Yeah. Any of you in the panelists who want to respond to anything Shiloh is saying, just unmute yourself and come on. or else we have to do that. We'll just open you guys up. Any of you that want to speak and how this is striking you.
Hey, Shiloh. Hi. I don't have my earbuds on, so I hope I don't have a lot of echo. Okay. What I wanted to say to you is I could hear you on how overthinking things can hold you back sometimes, and how I can relate to that, and I'm sure many of us have at times in our lives overthought things, and it is a stopping point for myself when I've overthought things. So I appreciate you naming that here. Thank you.
Yeah, me too. Me too. You know, that dilemma, Shiloh, that we have when we're overthinking, the problem, you know, right, is any choice we make, we're going to overthink the choice we made.
Mm-hmm.
We can't rest in any of them.
Yeah.
We overthink about not making the choice, then we overthink about making the choice we made, and then we want to choose back, you know, and this whole idea of how you would just notice instead what it's like to get support when you feel discomfort inside.
Mm-hmm.
And what it's like to have discomfort inside, because it's a really important discomfort, usually because we're feeling two different things at the same time. And we're going to go somewhere unfamiliar. And when do we get to learn something new about ourselves in the unfamiliar? You know, that's going to be one of the things that maybe could support you in this crossing of the threshold of when you know you're overthinking, then you have to tolerate feeling discomfort. And what are you really uncomfortable about?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what will be unfamiliar to you? And how do we give you support? And how do you get support to tolerate new things or these changes that are happening at an important time in your life?
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone here can appreciate how you get lots of time to work on it.
Yeah.
Like some of us working on it.
What,
Yeah.
Go ahead, David.
what has struck me is what I've experienced of you know, not wanting greater space between me and somebody else, not to make it larger, and the paradox of the very act of thinking about that and holding it back until ready actually makes it look larger, or has made it larger for me. So and I get the paradox of wanting something and then doing exactly what makes it different, you know, worse for me.
Anybody else from the panelists want to respond? Eliza doesn't go through this yet, I hope.
Let the great oracle speak.
Oh man.
Hi, say hi, Eliza.
Keep it simple.
Oh.
Stay in the moment.
I want to hug her.
And just how attractive that is.
Thanks for coming on, Shiloh. Cecily, any other words from what you're hearing? You want to chime in?
No, Shiloh, I'm really just drinking you in. It's just, it's so human. I feel like I could be you speaking, and I'm just really touched by your presence and your wisdom and your question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's moving something in me, and feels important to tell you that. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you all coming on and being willing to share. Thanks, Cecily, David, Janet. Part of when you cross the threshold you cross over into is from being by yourself and the feeling of being on your own and something that's in over your head or daunting or challenging. And you become open to the experience of being joined with by others in the larger collective humanness of it all that makes it a bit more bearable and allows the thing that was just a moment ago threatening. Yeah. And then being able to move from the threat to harmonizing our union, the way we touch one another. What we need to be able to do to be supported is realize we touch one another. Yeah. Hi, Chris. Thanks for being here as well, even though you're also over in Paris. It's late, but thanks for joining in. We have about 5 more minutes for our broadcast. If anyone wants to share anything that's touched them from our current panelists speaking to what we have to experience, of our humanity to take us from familiar ground to unfamiliar ground again and again, how we work and face the challenge of overthinking when we're too much in our heads and not able to be enough in our full-bodiedness. How, we come right up against fears and freeze and just have this natural limit, unnatural limit that's become too natural to us, and we need to be encouraged to step out in the way Cecily was sharing, or David, the way it's got to already be clear before he moves, rather than letting the movements through the unclarity take him somewhere, and to journey like that. But regardless, we have all got to find our way into and among those who are going to cheer us on, either by example, by encouragement, by challenge, to say, hey, it's time to go where you haven't been before. So for each of you here, live on this broadcast, those of you watching the recording, from what to what? What's the thing in your life right now that's overly familiar? Overly familiar. And how do you have the strength or the clarity or the coherency and support to look inside and say, what exactly is it that's holding me back? And if it's a fear of what in particular? A judgment of what in particular? And then how do we get support? How do we get perspective to no longer let that be the thing holding us back, so that we can step over and go back and forth into the discomfort, into action, into movement, into some kind of movement through the discomfort that brings some new life and new energy. And then back again, across into the familiar. We want to be practicing over the next couple of weeks the ways we go back and forth, little ways, and when the occasion is ripe, the opportunity is there, and not so little ways. So how are we doing? Those of you who are listening. Anna has something more to share. Are you rolling? Go ahead, Anna, come on.
Hang on. There we go. I was just really moved. What Shiloh said about being stuck in overthinking situations, and I realized that was exactly what I had done as I was working through the process toward running, the half marathon. And in my overthinking, it planned and worked everything out, and I thought I was by myself. I'd done a lot of the training and preparation for it by myself, but on the actual day, I wasn't by myself. I was surrounded by so many people cheering me on and uplifting everybody who was running. And that was the amazing part that felt so embodied. I never would have predicted that.
You wouldn't have predicted
that there would be so many people
much support.
along the course. Yeah. Coming out to show that kind of support. And so when I could just let go of how I thought it might be in my mind and just have the experience of running and feel that, it was easy to run the whole way. Yeah.
So how is this a precursor for some of us here, for us to be taking those very steps? Yeah, how will that happen for all of you? Thank you, Anna. That was great. Because that's evidence, you know, and we can sit here and think, well, that happened for her, that won't happen for me. But I think we would all say, those of us have been around a little while, that if you just put yourself out there, you take that one step, sometimes that's wholehearted. And we'll talk more on Saturday's session about the importance of wholeheartedness, the full effort, the full gesture that allows the universe to come rushing up to support us and hold us as we move into uncertainty, unfamiliar ground, uneasiness, and have to tolerate that for sometimes what feels like forever, even if it's for 10 seconds or 5 minutes. I'm really appreciating the depth of support already, you know, the way people are sharing in the chat, your willingness to speak to one another in the chat, and the way you're revealing yourselves, those of you willing to come online and speak here as panelists, which we're going to encourage everyone to do as part of the course, just to speak whatever is most alive and real for you, and how it's important to do that. We're going to finish up with a poem from David White about this type of threshold that we're going to be facing and conscious of in the days ahead. Notice even in your day tomorrow, how you can just be a little clearer about what it takes to cross over. And he says it like this, it's called Talitcha Lake. And in this high place, it is as simple as this. It is as simple as this. You leave everything you know behind. You leave everything you know behind. In this high place, it's as simple as this. You leave everything you know behind. This high place, this threshold place, this place we don't usually get to. What it takes for us to do is to leave our preconceived idea of what we're expecting behind. So critical for the journey to come alive that we don't, Campbell would always say, we ruin our journey when we expect it. We ruin our experience when we project our expectation onto it. So White says, step towards the cold surface. That's the cold surface, the chill of the unknown that gives us the shiver. Step towards the cold surface, the facing what's right in front of us. Say the old prayer of rough love. Say the old prayer of rough love, which means you got to do this. And open both arms. Open both arms. Just open up our hearts. We open our arms because it's to open our heart. Not our heads. We open our heart. Those who come with empty hands, those who empty their minds, let go of what they're holding on to, who come to this place, to the threshold, to the unfamiliar, the unknown with empty hands, will stare into the lake astonished. The reflecting pond of the wet lake is the psyche. Will stare into the lake astonished, stare into the unknown of the psyche, astonished. There in the cold light, reflecting pure snow, the true shape of your own face. The true shape of your own face. not the way you tend to think about it, but a real reflection of your true nature. That's what we can do for one another on the course. That's what the journey itself can do for us. It can reflect back to us the depths of our true nature, which is beyond our ability to think about it. Whether it's running a half marathon that was completely out of reach, or the identification of not being a runner, right, to facing the overthinking of our lives, the way we let go of our minds and come to our senses and just say, let me give this a shot, before we prearrange it, as David says. We just stumble forward. Campbell will say all the time, the mistakes are really important. The mistakes are also important. They're a part of the path, and they allow us to go in a direction we don't normally go. So our imperative here is to do exactly what you would be doing in your life, exactly what you would do if you felt most secure. From Meister Eckhart. How would you do that? What would it be exactly? Who are the people you're going to keep reaching out to? Get your 5 people. And what's that threshold that you're going to cross again and again? All right. Good to be with all of you tonight. Our time is up. I'd like to thank our guest panelist. Where are you? Okay. The tribe panelists, the runners, all of us on the marathon of our journeys, staying on the path, staying on the path. Good to be with you all. Thank all of you who came to attend and viewed this live and contributed with your presence from wherever you are in the world. Thank you for those of you choosing to view this right now as a recording. Let yourself take what you can from this. Visit the website, Awakening the Hero website. Look through the session guides. Post to the Facebook page. Let us know what steps you're taking, where you're about to go next. Cross the threshold this week. Make sure you do something this weekend that puts you in unfamiliar ground. Good night, everybody. We'll see you next time. We'll be broadcasting next a repeat session with new content of Crossing the Threshold this Saturday, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Good night, everybody.